Is shareholder value more important than stakeholder value? Jack Welch, CEO of GE, said to think so is the dumbest idea in the world. Certainly none of us would employ ourselves in a criminal enterprise, so I think we all can agree on some level that we're more interested in stakeholder value. Our textbook Steiner & Steiner points out that the world of stakeholders is too large of a group and focuses in on stockholders, employees, customers, government, and communities. And I'd rank the importance in that order generally, but of course it depends on the business. I work in banking IT right now, and I can tell you unequivocally the government is the main stakeholder right now, and it's the focus of all banks. All operations are being retooled to conform to the governance. Milton Friedman held that the shareholder model naturally accrues all the interests of those groups. There's some truth to that, but I think it's a surface argument, because what about long-term viability, the pursuits of opportunity, or the collateral costs? Focusing just on the short-term or next quarter profits is a huge mistake of the shareholder model. In tech, a company commonly lays off people to drive up quarterly profits, but it puts the company in a death spiral. So they've lost their good people and they lose their product pipeline. AT&T's 1991 $7.4 billion hostile takeover of NCR was an example of the profit-only mindset. AT&T halted R&D and spun off or sold at least a half a dozen of the business units. But did that market for server computers disappear? No, it exploded. AT&T made profits, but they could have made much better profits. My co-workers went to work for Dell and became wealthy, went to work for Sun and Intel. So destroying NCR was a boom for Intel, and maybe AT&T and Intel had a backroom deal, and really AT&T was looking at Intel as a stakeholder. But consider Target. Their recent drop in profits is due to them alienating large swaths of their customer base. They're now eating crow and trying to backtrack, but they didn't understand the demographics of their customer base. In this modern economy, you have to. A connected ecosystem is really the crux of the argument. In a small town, a company could quickly earn a reputation or suffer a bad reputation. In the managerial capitalism heyday, companies didn't have to worry about customers or employees. But now with the social internet, the world's small again. A small person can report on bad corporate behavior and report it in a public forum and create a following. In my field, the average tenure is less than 5 years. I now work with a couple people who I'd worked with 10 years ago or 5 years ago. MUFG appreciates the fact that we are stakeholders and gives us nice bonuses. MUFG emanates from Japan, so they're more likely to think long-term. In contrast, a short-term horizon may create insults against the environment, the customers, the employees, or the community, but would suffer long-term. A company which ostracizes employees will quickly find the employees are counterproductive and perhaps even detrimental to the company. So not only is it morally right to be responsible to the wider set of stakeholders, it's also the best long-term business strategy. Now, we're in an era of listening to customers and specializing products to customer needs. Now, we're in an era of seeking the best, the brightest, the most talented. These are stakeholders, our customers, our employees. We're in a knowledge economy. And an employee can choose based on more than just stock dividends or appreciation. Brandt and Gourjou claim that stakeholder model is more prevalent in Germany than in the US. But one can certainly assert that the stakeholder model is rapidly becoming more important in the US. Just think about Amazon or Facebook. They didn't focus on products. They focused on stakeholders. What did the stock market do? The stock market has rewarded them far beyond their competitors who are focused on products. An argument against the stakeholder model is it's difficult to determine who are all the stakeholders. Now obviously that's where we as managers come in, and we must understand our ecosystem, the environment where we operate. We have to assess and address the stakeholders that are important to our company. Overall, business exists to serve a need, not to make one person wealthy, but to leverage the cooperation among many and make everyone wealthier. Lifting everyone up benefits ourselves, our families, our communities, and ultimately our businesses. So clearly the stakeholder model subsumes and trumps simply thinking about shareholders. The road to a prosperous future is not concentration of money, but dispersion of success. The stakeholder model is the model for the prosperous future. Broncos.